welcome back to Community Focus here on Channel 6 TV. I'm Kenny Fogle. Glad you could join us today. Got Christy Clark here with us, and most people know Christy as Mammy. So the reason we're going to tell you a little bit about that, it's not a real big secret in Bardstown in Nelson County, one of the best restaurants in the area, but we're going to reach out a little bit. Use folks in Springfield and Lebanon, you want to listen up, because if you happen to be coming to the Bardstown area, and well, first of all, Christy, I want to welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Kenny. It's my pleasure to be here. I know you're one of my great customers and friends.
I've been for a long time. At least 3 or 4 days a week. It seems like we're there for breakfast or lunch or something or another. And I'll tell you before we get started, I was talking to a friend of mine from Munfordville a few weeks ago at a basketball game, and he just happened to stumble into Mammy's Kitchen. He came in and he came to me and he said, "You ever been to Mammy's Kitchen?" I've been there all the time. He said, "Oh my God." He said, "I had the best burger." I think he had the bourbon burger. He said, "The best burger I've had in my life." And he had everybody in the stands up at the ball games. They're never going to go to Mammy's Kitchen after the ball game, whether they did or not.
Best advertisement ever.
Best advertisement ever, but
and I really appreciate that. That is the best. That is just a very good compliment, and it compliments us and all my employees. So
well, you went from the old to the new, and the old wasn't real old. I mean, you hadn't been there a long time, and down on the main drag in Bardstown, but you moved right around the corner.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, it's been a major success.
It's been very successful. It was a scary part, but this is actually my 4th building downtown. And this is going to be our home. We've made this our home. We started out 2 blocks down from where the old 114 North 3rd Street. We was across from, it was the church.
I remember that.
So the church was there. So my mom, my daughter Robin, and I started with Christie's Collections, home accessories. Mom did custom sewing, curtains, tablecloths, and bedspreads, things like that in the back. And we got a little bit bigger, so we went up 1 block, and where Primo is now in that building. And it was 3 floors. It was full. We had this is what it looked like. And we had our antiques. Mama did sewing on the 2nd floor, and we just loved it. Well, we're country people, and Mama likes to cook, and there wasn't really, a whole lot for us to do, so she wanted to put on some pinto beans and cornbread, and we can just fix our own food.
Yeah.
And, of course, we were still working. The family was coming in, the kids, and at that time were coming in, so we thought, well, maybe we could do a little antique cafe. There was a little room in the back, and we turned it into a little kitchen. It actually had the bathroom in the kitchen. I remember that.
Hey, that's country.
It was country. People came in the kitchen to sit down and eat, which is, you can see right here. There's old Jonesy right there. He's one of my first customers.
And you stayed alive even though Jonesy was one of your customers.
My first customers that told me how to do and cook everything. So he was good and told me who was who, because I'm not from Bardstown. I'd lived there several years, but he had to tell me who was who. My Aunt Winnell was there the first day we opened. So anyway, we started cooking a little bit more, thinking, we had like a little Walmart stove and refrigerator, and did get a sink and stuff like that, and started cooking. And then my aunt on the first day, we're like, oh, nobody's here, nobody's coming in, nervous. And my aunt went outside, grabbed one of the locals, and told him to come in and try our food. And he came in, brought the other regulars, and then we've had about 35 regulars every day since that day, 8 years ago. And they've been wonderful. I mean, I've just been very blessed to have, meet all these the regulars and the people, Bardstonians, and it's just, it was just a family connection with me and my mom and everybody. We loved it. Then we just started cooking more and more. Then we had the tourism, which I didn't know a whole lot about, which of course that just kept coming in, and we ended up bringing like sewing tables, tablecloths, couches, wherever you could sit. You could see here it was beds in there, and this is just tourists, locals. We had one big long table. So they all just sat together, and that was really nice. Or they'd come inside the kitchen, and then the health department came in, and they're like, what the hell are y'all doing? We're like, we don't know, because we just kept cooking more, the pies and the burgers and the breakfast, of course. We had a 1-page menu that we typed out and made it really pretty. And then, so anyway, we couldn't remain there. Of course, it wasn't a restaurant. And David Floyd, who I just seen, he was one of the regulars, and he came in with his coffee and his breakfast amongst all the 35 other ones that we had. And he had a building available, and that was the 114 North 3rd Street address. And it was, it's a 220-year-old building. It was an old five and dime.
And
of course,
it was
it's
packed all the time.
And so we moved over to that, and we made that into the Mammy's Kitchen. And the reason why I called it Mammy's Kitchen, both my grandmothers, Mammy Clyde, and then my mom's mom, Mammy, she was Lucille. And so we were always in their kitchens. You know, that's where we, congregated. They had the Walton's table. Of course, my mom's mother had 17 children. And my dad's mother had 15 children.
Oh my gosh.
And so we knew that, of course, the young ones, we got to wash the dishes or peel the potatoes or something like that. But it was really good memories and a good start for us. And just old cooks is what we are. We're by far not a chef, but we're just good old country cooks. And I think, we just didn't realize how much people would like that same food that we still, the mashed potatoes, the green beans, and the pies, and
Meatloaf Thursday.
the Meatloaf Thursday and the roast beef and things like that. I just didn't realize how phenomenal it would be 8 years later. We just never thought it would work. We knew a little bit about the restaurant business. My sister ran a restaurant in Lebanon, Cedarwood Restaurant, still there. It was always lifelong family business. So we got a little bit of experience through her and how to do this, what to do. But other than that, we didn't have a clue. We didn't know how to get permits. We didn't know we had to get permits. We didn't know how to do anything. So I stayed in trouble with the city for a while because I didn't know. And we were so busy cooking. But the building was an awesome building for us. Beautiful building. Like I said, it's still got the same tile, the same ceilings, and a lot of character. And that's what made it, right there on that North 3rd Street. What a great location for us.
Absolutely. And all the way from that, you got national recognition. I mean, you've been on some of the national networks.
Yes,
and
we
people
have.
come in. And
Yes, we have.
So you don't get that for just being a run-of-the-mill restaurant.
I don't pass up a camera, ever. I was made for TV.
I understand that. You got to let people know what you're doing.
My mom would be back in the window because you could see out in the restaurant, and I'd be like, I'll be right back, and I'll go out, and I'm out there for 2 hours because I'm constantly talking to my customers. You've got your wonderful locals that I've made so many good friends with, and then you've got all these tourists coming in from Australia, and all over around the United States. And my mom, she would just sit there and go, she'll do anything to get out of work.
Well, that's the whole point, because that's why we like to do this right here, because I know when I go to Lebanon, Springfield, any town where I want to go, I want somebody to tell me it's a good place to eat. I mean, you got all the little chain restaurants, and they're wonderful as well, but there's always a special restaurant in just about any locality that's just a little bit more special and gives a little flavor of Bardstown or wherever, and that's Mammy's Kitchen.
Yes, and it's, of course, we were named the most beautiful small town in America.
And you had very much to do with that.
And well, I hope so. I'd like to think so. I mean, because we love it, absolutely love it. And I don't say this for advertisement or any kind of pat on the back, but I have the best customers in the world. I do. The local, the tourists, everybody is just, they love it. It's family. You come in there for breakfast, you can come back for lunch, come back for dinner, come back to the bar. I mean, it's a place you could stay all day.
Now, I was saying too, while we're talking to you, they have that at a bar. I mean, you started out with collections, started out with the restaurant, now you got a restaurant, a bar. I know you're going back to collections eventually. So you've got all the world in one area.
I've got a whole farm.
You're Walmart.
You don't have to go anywhere. I've got a whole farm. I said, I've got the barn, that's the banquet room. I've got the dining room, so that's your food. And we've got the chicken coop eventually coming, so you're going to be there, and you got the patio, so there's your garden. So it's all in one package. I'm like, well, we don't leave. We're always there, so I think we needed that comfort for us. It feels like me. It feels like home. And that's what I want it to be. That's why it's Mammy's Kitchen. Because we loved going to my grandparents' house. I was so blessed to have these storybook grandmothers, that you read about now. I'm certainly not one. I never could be, because I would never touch a chicken, and
never wrung a neck, huh?
Never. And milk a cow, I know we all had to watch and had to try, but I was a good cook. But I was not a good
You kill it, I cook it.
I can't believe, I remember when we were little sitting there watching my Mammy, Lucille, and both Mammies did it, go outside down the side of the hill, and she would take about 5 chickens and just twist their neck. And they would, I'm surprised I just lived through that. I wasn't traumatized, but we were like, when am I going to eat? And then right there, and you think, oh, I've never touched that. But that chicken fried, and it was on that table, you ate. You did not skip a meal. You did not have snacks. You ate breakfast. It was breakfast, dinner, and supper. And you ate all 3 times. And I remember Mammy, they would make the homemade biscuits. And, that's kind of what you snacked on throughout the day. She'd cover them, if they weren't all gone, she'd cover them with a cloth, a tea cloth. And you get hungry, you go in there and you snack on a biscuit. There wasn't such thing as a candy bar. Yeah. That was a delicacy for us to even have a candy bar. But it was really something. And watching her grow her gardens, everything was just, they respected food so much because there was many, many people to feed.
Wasn't a whole lot of leftovers.
There never was. And, all the men always got to eat first and then the kids. But it was some of the best times and days of my life. So they were just awesome.
So you're still located right off the Court Square. I mean, if you come into Bardstown, so for somebody that's not familiar with Bardstown, right, within a block of the main courthouse, right in the center of town. If you're facing that, you turn to the right and go up down a block, and half a block really, and there's where you're located now.
Yeah, and it's been, I looked at that building before. And I'm like, I don't know, it's just too big. It was just overwhelming to me.
It's an old livery stable, man, back in the Daniel Boone days.
That's it, right here. It was circa 1885. This was Steve Hayden's, who then transformed it into the restaurant in 1975 when he went in there. So he was there for about 35, 37 years. And that just intimidated me. I'd heard a lot about him. And I knew it was going to be a lot of work. And the building itself, when we looked at it, it's like the wood walls, they're all the tobacco barn walls.
Yeah.
Well, those walls came from there was a tornado in 1973. So Steve had these guys go out and get all the wood, 8 barns, a chicken coop, and an outhouse. And I'm like, well, what brings the outhouse wood in, And so that's just the character of it. Then there was 2 trees that fell. Somewhere in Nelson County, and he took those 2 trees, which is now the bar. That thing will be there it'll last way longer than us. It's just gorgeous.
It is.
So the bones of the building I couldn't have asked. I mean, it's just beautiful with the patio. We got her start in the old building. I feel like she was my old grandma. That building you had to take care of. It was delicate. This building's a little bit bigger. Of course, we put the red barn in there, which is my mom's barn from Gravel Switch. It looks just like her barn. And I had to have a piece of country, a piece of her, who's no longer with us. But if it wasn't for her, we would have never been where we're at today because we didn't know what we were doing.
Well, you've upgraded the kitchen is definitely upgraded. I've been back in your kitchen. You got state-of-the-art ovens and stoves.
And I'm running out of room already. And thank you, Lord. I appreciate it. It has just been phenomenal. I can't get over it. I'm still as surprised as I was that first day when we grabbed that customer to come in, and he's remained with us ever since. I'm still surprised. I still look, oh my gosh, are we going to have anybody? Am I going to come and eat? And it's just like that 8 years later. And it's just, I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. Saturday, of course, you had the ball games. It was a beautiful day, the patio, and the tourists are really starting to come in now. And, I talked to Oregon, Seattle, Norway, Australia. You're just blown away, and I love them, and that's what they keep coming back.
And you got plenty of parking around. There's a city parking lot behind the building, and you can park up and down the street. So you got plenty of parking.
It's no different than where I was at on North 3rd. I had the front parking and the back parking. Right here, I'm just right around the corner of the front and the back.
So far, everything I've seen, I know you're probably nervous when you made the move, saying I'm moving a very successful place.
And it took me a little time it was a disattachment. I loved that building. It was, I'm very thankful for the Floyds and to giving me that opportunity to become Mammy, and what has been, besides my kids, the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me.
Outside of the meatloaf and bourbon cheeseburger, what is the biggest? What's the best seller you got?
Hot browns. It took me a while to do a hot brown sauce. Studied it, and how it was made and how it was done, and I kind of wanted to put a country spin, my spin on it, because I've always loved hot browns. If I travel anywhere, I'm definitely going to try their hot brown. And so we decided to do the baked turkey and the country ham, because I love my Northerners. And God bless them and make them eat country ham every time they come in there with red-eye gravy. You're going to try it before you leave this restaurant. and or sweet tea.
Yeah.
And but hot brown, and it's been noted, and then it's been, you have Reuters that comes to Bardstown, so it's been in the Washington Post and the New York Times listed as one of the best hot browns.
Well, I like your Judges Club. I know you named it after Judge Heaton.
Yes, I did, and he was one of my favorite people. He's the best friend I ever had because he was really brutally honest with me sometimes.
That's being a judge. He says what's on his mind. He
wanted something and he got it. He came in one day and he's like, I'm tired of everything on this menu. I'm like, what do you want? And he's like, you got a club? And I'm like, yeah, I'll make you one. I didn't have a clue. I'm like, what am I going to do? So anyway, I didn't have deli ham or deli, turkey or anything. So I've got baked turkey and I've got baked ham, and I put it on. I didn't know really how to make one, so I used the Texas toast and the 2 cheeses. And thought, well, I hope he likes this. I hope he likes this. I did not want to make him mad. And he's like, well, I've never had a hot club before, but this is the best one I've ever had.
Oh, it's delicious. I love it. That's my favorite.
So we ended up putting that after he passed away. It was just devastating to me and, of course, to everybody that knew him. He was a wonderful person. The sad part, and it makes me want to cry, that we've lost several of our customers, and that became family to us. And John Pruitt.
I remember him every time I went in there.
Lordy have mercy. I mean, if you were in his parking spot in that front row, he's going to push your car back, and you're going to get out of his line.
Yeah, John went up to give $1 tip one time when one of the waitresses about fell over and he wanted 50 cents change. That's John.
And he'd be like, oh, you're making all kinds of money. I'm like, I'm not going to get rich off that, John, all right? But he was so sweet. When the building caught on fire next to us in 2012, June, hottest day of the year, we got the smoke damage and the water damage. Lord we were just, I thought we were done.
Yeah.
The way it looked. I know you
I remember it well,
It was just flames everywhere. And I remember we couldn't open for a couple of weeks after that, of course, cleaning all of that up. And John took up, made his group, the judges table is what we call it, and we still do. And he took up some money to give, not to me, but to the waitresses. Yeah. He wanted to make sure they didn't go get another job because they babied him. Yeah. And they really loved him, and he'll be in our hearts. There's just been so many of them.
It has. People come and go, and that's great. But like I said, I know there's a lot of great memories been made there, and there's a lot of great memories yet to be made there.
Yes,
so I know that's your plan. Got a cookbook?
Well, we did this cookbook. This was 1999 when my great aunt did this cookbook for my mom's side of the family, and we still had it, and the publisher still had it. And so I got asked so much from mostly tourists, can you have a cookbook? And I'm like, no, but one of these days I'll try to sit down and do one. That hasn't happened yet. So I just got this one out, and I've actually put some pictures of Mammy's kitchen, because it's how we got. Right. My pie recipes are in this.
My wife uses that book all the time. So.
I don't know. All of them are right. I mean, there's some of them in here.
So she hadn't
make work. And it's just been, phenomenal. Everybody, I've had to order like 600 of them. And so that's good to have that. And I'm actually going to redo it again another time and put like our hot brown recipe or bourbon sauce recipe. And everybody, I can't make it enough. The celery seed dressing that my mom made, or meatloaf that came from Mama Jean Gray in Lebanon. She was my oldest son's grandmother. And I was very young when I moved in with them when I was married, and I cook her meatloaf like she cooks it. She taught me how to cook. I was a baby, I didn't know how to mash potatoes or anything. And so I've been around and blessed with lots of good cooks and women it was my culinary school. For me, it was a culinary school, and I've always been intrigued by it. I never thought, I did that a whole lot. I like to cook. Yeah. Of course, I was a single parent with 4 children, so I cooked a lot myself. We didn't go out to eat a lot, And so, my thing that I did with them was, fix some pies and cakes and all the good food, and just having the family that I came.
Well, you come a long way from Gravel Switch.
It's been awesome, and you've got a piece of Gravel Switch, in this restaurant in Bradfordsville. Mammy Clyde was on it. That's Harold Gribbins. He's my dad. He's in Marion County. Lebanon, and so we come from Bradfordsville, gravel switch, mixture of
Got it
little bit
covered.
of everything. We just brought some country to the big old city.
That's
of
right. It's
Bardstown.
time for you to come visit. If you haven't got a chance to stop in Mammy's Kitchen on West Stephen Foster Avenue in Bardstown, like I said, it's right off the Court Square. If you walk a quarter of a mile, you went too far, because that's
Right
really
across from the Jailers Inn.
Right across from Jailers Inn.
It's wonderful watching that. So I've had the best, I really miss my next door neighbors, I had Mary's, and then I had Betty on the other side. And of course it was wonderful, being beside them. I'd make them eat my taste test
There you
this,
go.
taste test that. And now, we're right across from the tavern and then the Jailers Inn. So it's just, Bardstown's just a wonderful place. I
is.
can't brag about it enough.
Well, that's
It's just
fine.
been
And you
great
made
to me.
you're a big part of it yourself, just in the short time. So, Christy,
Customers like you,
Well,
and Donna, that come
well-
in, some of my first customers.
well, we love you, but we love your food too. So if it wasn't for good food, we wouldn't be
Wine
coming
and
back.
dine you, honey.
I understand. Well, Christy Clark here from Mammy's Kitchen. We would invite you all to come on and visit. If you haven't visited before, please do. If you have, come back. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Kenny.
here today, and thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in just a few
Thank
minutes
you all.
on your Community Focus right here on Channel 6 TV. Be right back.